This is a full tutorial on how to make the short crush, these cute knitted shorts that I made for my daughter. This is what we're going to do first. We're going to start by making a folded waistband to hold the drawstring. This is the holes for the drawstring in the front of the shorts. So it goes in here, comes out here, and you can tie it, of course. So we're going to cast on, we're going to knit, we're going to do a purl round here, we're going to knit, do the holes, and then attach the working stitches to the cast on edge. So okay, we have our yarn, we have the longer needles, and we're going to start by casting on stitches. So if you know already how to cast on, you can use a long tail cast on. If you never knitted before and want to try this for the first time, I have an easier method for casting on. So I'm going to show that just for the ones in the back that doesn't know how to cast on. If you already know, use your preferred method and cast on the amount of stitches that is stated in the pattern for your size. So I'm going to show the backward loop cast on. I'm starting by doing a slip knot. I'm folding the yarn over like this, and then I'm picking up the working end of the yarn like this and tighten to create a little loop. Okay, I'm inserting the needle and I'm tightening, but not too tight because you want to be able to knit the stitches later. Okay, that was my first stitch. So now I'm gonna hold the short end, just get it out of the way like this. And I'm starting to make my stitches. So this is the first stitch. And the next one, I do a loop like that. I'm just folding the yarn over itself to create a loop. I'm inserting the needle from the top into the loop and I'm tightening like this. That's my second stitch. Okay. Repeat, fold it over like this, insert, tighten. I'm going to do it again, real slow. Fold over. So it's important that this, the loop has like a bottom and a top. It's important that the top is the one that goes there. This is the top. So fold it from the left towards the right to create the loop. Insert your needle and tighten. Okay, so I'm going to make 104 stitches in my size. So I'm going to do that and then see you in a bit. I'm just going to show you when you kind of get the hang of it, you can do, it's more like a one movement to create the stitch. You just kind of do everything in one movement. So this is how I do that. I mean, I just create the loop, but instead of closing it and inserting, I'm just doing everything like this. So instead of counting stitches, I just make a bunch, and then when I feel like I'm close to the number that I want, I count them. And I don't count them one by one, I count them 5 by 5 because I find it quite easy to see 5 stitches. So I'm like 5, 10, 35, 41. Okay, so still got a while to go. And 104. So now I have all my stitches. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to join the round or join the knitting to make a round, like to make the waistband. So it's not going to be knitted as a piece of fabric flat. It's going to be knitted as an actual waistband. What I'm doing now is I'm making sure that all my stitches are sitting in the same direction so that they're not twisted like this. So I want all my stitches to have like a top outside of the needle and the where they are attached to each other on the same side, so that you make sure to line up all the stitches so that they're sitting in the same direction all the way around. So we have the first stitch you made here, And the last stitch is here on the right side. So my left hand needle and my right hand needle have the first and the last stitch. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to join these two together to make a round. Now I have my needles. I have been pausing the film to get some stitch markers. You can use anything that you have. You can use a piece of yarn that you just make into a loop or whatever, but I use this. And then to mark the beginning of the round, I'm going to put this here. I'm just putting it on the needle like this. So if you have like an earring or whatever, you can use it. And then we're going to start with the knit stitch. The knit stitch is the easiest stitch and the most used stitch. So we're going to start by inserting the needle from the bottom, or knitwise as we call it, into the stitch. So you're kind of stabbing the stitch like this. You're grabbing the working yarn like that. I like to hold it, like to secure it with my index finger like this. And then I pull the working yarn through. So this here now is a piece of the yarn from the ball. So I grabbed it, and now this is the stitch that I stabbed. I'm now releasing that off the needle. So this is my first knit stitch. I'm going to do again. So I'm going into the stitch, picking up the yarn, holding on to it, and going back out. This looks really, really easy, but if you are struggling with it, know that you are not the only one. So you might have to, do a separate session on just learning the stitch if you haven't done it before. If you never knitted before, maybe instead of casting on the full number of stitches, just cast on 10 and try to practice this stitch. So I'm going to knit half of the number of stitches that I cast on. I cast on 104, so I'm going to knit 52 stitches, and then I'm going to put the other stitch marker onto the needle. So this marks the back of the shorts, and the other one is going to mark the front. $50, $51, $52. So now I'm just going to grab my other stitch marker and put it on here. Okay, and I'm going to continue knitting in the round, and each time you get to the stitch marker, you just move it from the left hand side needle onto the right. So you don't do anything with it, you just move it and continue. So I'm reaching the end of my first round, and I have now the stitch marker at the beginning of the round. So what I'm going to do with it, I'm just going to take it off and put it onto the right needle. So that's how you do it. I usually don't take it completely off. I just do like this to transfer it from this side to this side, and then continue knitting. So now you're going to knit until the stated length before you do a purl round. So I'm going to do that too, and see you at the purl round. Okay, I don't know if you noticed, but I changed my needles into a thinner needle because my gauge was off. That can happen even if it's like my pattern and I determined what the needle size were to be today. My hands are hot. I am a looser knitter than I was. So always check your gauge, measure the number of stitches that you have, and if you are off, make sure to change your needles into reaching your correct gauge. So needle size is always just indicative. The number of stitches per 10 centimeter or 4-inch is how you should determine your needle size. So if you have If you have more stitches, you have to use bigger needles. If you have less stitches, you have to use thinner needles. So, okay, so I'm going to do the purl round now. And to purl, when you knit, you insert from the bottom, you stab the stitch like this. When you purl, you need to do everything in reverse. So I'm taking my yarn to the front and I'm stabbing into the stitch from the top and down. So I'm taking my working yarn and I'm wrapping the needle like this. I'm holding onto it and I'm pulling it back out. So now this is the piece of yarn. And now I can release this stitch. So that was my first purl stitch. Okay, I'm doing it again. I'm stabbing the stitch from the top. I'm wrapping the stitch with my working yarn. I'm holding tension here so that it doesn't fall off. And I'm pulling the needle back out. So this is now my yarn that I grabbed, and I can release the stitch from the left needle. So now you can see purl stitches forming. So the knit stitches look like small V's. The purl stitches has small bumps. Okay, again, if you never knitted and you need to practice purl stitch, I recommend that you cast on 10 stitches and just do purl stitches for a while. So when you understand the stitch, you can start doing it faster. So I have the working yarn on my index finger like this, still in the front though. I insert, I wrap, I pull it out. I insert, I wrap, I pull it out. So I insert into the stitch, I wrap it, pull it out. So this is the edge where we fold the waistband. Okay, so just purl one round and then continue in knit stitches until you have, yeah, well, you have to look in the pattern. It's different for every size, but you are going to purl one row and then continue for a little while in knit stitches. And then we're going to make the holes for the drawstring. Okay, so I'm getting closer to the point where I want to put my holes for the drawstring. So I'm going to make those. Yes. So in the pattern, it says knit until 4 stitches remains before the marker in the front. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches left. So I'm going to do a slip, slip, knit. That is, I slip 1 stitch, I slip 1 stitch, and then I knit them together through the back loop. I removed 1 stitch, but now I'm doing a yarn over to add the stitch back, and then I knit until the stitch marker. So this will create a small hole for the drawstring. So to do the same thing, to mirror it on the other side of the front, because this is the center front. So I'm going to knit 2 stitches. I'm going to do my yarn over and I'm going to knit 2 stitches together. So there you go. So when I knit a new round now and get back here, it will be a hole where my yarn over was. So that's how you do the holes for the drawstring. Okay, so now I'm going to continue down to, I'm going to work this part the same length as this part. And when I do that, we're going to attach it to the cast on edge. So see you there. So I just wanted to quickly show you how to knit the yarn overs when you get to them after completing the round, after making them. This is the place where I did them, and I'm knitting my way up until the yarn over, which is this one. And then I just knit like normal, like so. So I just treat it like a normal stitch. It looks a bit different, but you can treat it like a normal stitch. Just knit into it from the bottom, and as you can see now, you have a small hole. Okay, so my waistband is ready to be folded and attached. So I'm going to attach the working stitches. I'm going to attach the working stitches to the cast on stitches, which are at the bottom here. So I need to fold this, like so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to knit this stitch together with the corresponding stitch on the cast on edge. And then I'm going to knit those two stitches together. So how I like to do it is I just insert the needle, and then I just count or orient myself to see which are the stitch corresponding, and it's this one because it's the first one. So now I have them both on the needle. So I wrap the yarn and I knit those two stitches together, like so. So I like to do every other stitch, because if you do every stitch, it's hard to see which one is the next, and it's easy to get everything twisted. So if you just do every other stitch, just attach one stitch and then just knit the next stitch normally, and then we attach the next. So insert the needle here, look for the corresponding stitch, and since we skip one, it's not that one but this one. So go further into that and knit the two together, like so. Knit the next stitch. I know some people like to find the stitch first and then like place it onto the needle. They find that easier to just do it like this. Put it on and then just knit them together. You can also do that if you want. So I prefer to just do it like this. It's up to you. Okay, so I've done the full round of attaching the cast on edge to the working stitches. So now I have a folded waistband with, in the front, holes for the drawstring to go in and come out. So next step now is I'm going to do a couple of increases just here in the back, just to create a few more stitches. So I'm going to show you how to increase. How I do it is I do make one left increase. I don't bother doing a mirror increase in this case because we're only doing it once. So I'm starting by knitting 2 stitches. And then I do a left slanting increase because this one is the one that I find the easiest. So I'm going to knit 4 stitches and then I'm going to show you again. So to do the increase, you go in from behind and you pick up the strand of yarn in between 2 stitches. So this is the yarn, and then you kind of place it onto the needle, but I don't let it go off this one because it's kind of hard to pick it back up. So just keep it on there and continue knitting through it. So there you have an extra stitch. So that one is called make one left. So now I have created 4 stitches in the back, and I'm going to knit all the way around to the other side, and I'm going to do 4 stitches here as well. So 4, 8, 12, 14. So you have to look in the pattern obviously, but I'm going to knit until 14 stitches remains. So then I can distribute the increases in the same way, just mirror the ones that I did on this side. So when 14 stitches remain, so as I said, I just do the left increase because I find it so much easier to do. And as long as you're not stacking increases on top of each other, no one's going to see which way it slants. So you do you, but I'm doing that. Okay, so I'm doing 4 stitches in between, and I'm doing 4 increases on this side as well. And here's my last one. And since I started with knitting 2 stitches, I have 2 stitches left now. So now my round is finished, and I'm going to start to do short rows. So we're working short rows in the back of the shorts to create more fabric here, so that you can have a taller shorts in the back and cover everything, and then you can have a lower waistline in the front. You have to see in the pattern what numbers goes for your size, but I'm going to knit 8 stitches past the stitch marker in the back, like so, and then I'm going to turn and knit and purl back 8 stitches past the stitch marker in the other side. So I'm going here, I'm going back there, and then I'm turning again. So how I do the turn is a so-called German short row. If you prefer another method, I'm fine with that. What I'm doing is a German, and then you just insert the needle here into the stitch. You pull it over like this and off. So now this stitch kind of became 2 stitches. It looks like 2 stitches, but this is a double stitch. So when you get to this double stitch, next time you knit it together so that you are back to 1 stitch. So now I purl back. Okay, I purl to the stitch marker and then 8 stitches past 8. And then I turn again. So just simply turn the whole thing like this. I keep my yarn in the front. So now you can kind of see that I have created two extra rows here. So I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just inserting the needle into the first stitch. I'm pulling the working yarn up and behind to create this double stitch. I'm starting to knit. And now I'm gonna continue doing 8 more stitches each time before I turn. So when I get to the double stitch, which is the point that I turned the last time, I'm going to, here it is. So what I do, I just knit the whole thing together. And then I do 8 more stitches. Okay. I turn. I insert I grab and pull, and I purl back. So I'm back at the double stitch on the purl side. I purl that together like so, and continue for 8 more stitches. 7, 8, and then I turn again. Keep the yarn in the front. Now you can really see it growing in the back. Okay, I insert the needle, I pull and grab, I grab and pull, and then I just continue. And then you have to continue as many times, as many turns, as many stitches as stated for your size until you are finished with the wrap and turns. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to come back at the very last turn to show you how I do that to avoid a hole at the last turn. So my round is finished, and I'm going to so my round is finished, and I'm going to, next step now is to do the short rows. So this is the back of the shorts, this is the front. So now I'm going to knit back and forth, like over a few more stitches each row to create more fabric in the back, so that you can have the shorts taller in the back and shorter and lower, more low waist in the front, to create a nice shape. So I'm going to see in my pattern how many stitches I'm going to work. Yeah. Yes. Yes. So now my round is finished, and I'm going to start to do short rows. So we're working short rows in the back of the shorts to create more fabric here, so that you can have a taller shorts in the back and cover everything, and then you can have a lower waistline in the front. All pants are made that way, so this is something we have to do, especially with these low-rise pants. So you have to see in the pattern what numbers goes for your size. But I'm going to knit 8 stitches past the stitch marker in the back, like so. And then I'm going to turn and knit and purl back 8 stitches past the stitch marker in the other side. So I'm going here, I'm going back there, and then I'm turning again. So how I do the turn is a so-called German short row. If you prefer another method, I'm fine with that. What I'm doing is a German, and then you just insert the needle here into the stitch. You pull it over like this and off. So now this stitch kind of became 2 stitches. it looks like 2 stitches, but this is a double stitch. So when you get to this double stitch, next time you knit it together so that you are back to 1 stitch. So now I purl back. Oh, my stitch marker is making a sound, so I'm going to do, okay, I purl to the stitch marker and then 8 stitches past. 1, 8. And then I turn again. So just simply turn the whole thing like this. I keep my yarn in the front. So now you can kind of see that I have created two extra rows here. Okay. So I'm doing the exact same thing. I'm just inserting the needle into the first stitch. I'm pulling the working yarn up and behind to create this double stitch. I'm starting to knit. And now I'm gonna continue doing 8 more stitches each time before I turn. So when I get to the double stitch, which is the point that I turned the last time, I'm going to, here it is. So what I do, I just knit the whole thing together. And then I do 8 more stitches. Okay. I turn. I insert, I grab and pull, and I purl back. So I'm back at the double stitch on the purl side. I purl that together like so and continue for 8 more stitches. 1, 2, 7, 8, and then I turn again. Keep the yarn in the front. Now you can really see it growing in the back. Okay, I insert the needle, I pull and grab, I grab and pull, and then I just continue. And then you have to continue as many times, as many turns, as many stitches as stated for your size until you are finished with the wrap and turns. And I'm going to do that, and I'm going to come back at the very last turn to show you how I do that to avoid a hole at the last turn, because that's just a little bit different. Okay, so I am now just a few stitches away from the last turn. So instead of just turning normally here, like I usually do with the German short row, I just make an extra stitch with the backward loop method before I turn. So what I want to do here is when I get around the next time, I want to knit this stitch together with that stitch to connect the two rounds. Yeah, so I don't knit this stitch, I just slip it like so, and then I continue knitting, and then I just knit all the way around until I get to this point. One stitch remains before the hole. So I'm working my way around, getting to the front. And now if you look at the piece, it has a lot more fabric in the back, and in the front we're still at the just below the waistband. So creates a really nice shape for the shorts, covering everything that it needs to cover. So just continuing in the round. Okay, so here we are approaching the last turn on the last row. So this is the slipped stitch. This is the one just before. So I stop here and I slip this knitwise. I also slip this one. Oh, if it's a little tight, you might want to just do this. Oh, I think I need to slip this one purlwise. And then I just knit those two together through the back loop to close the hole. So now we just need to knit until the shorts are the required length. I think for my size, it's 17 centimeter down from the front. So I'll just knit my way down there and see you when we get there. Okay, so I'm at the point where I'm going to start increasing for the crotch area to create some more room for the legs. So we want to have room for the legs here. I'm measured in the front, the right measurement for my size, and I'm going to start increasing at the beginning of the round. So every new thing that you do, you always do it at the beginning of the round. So I do a knit one, I make one stitch to the left, meaning I'm picking up the strand by inserting the needle from behind, and I knit it twisted or through the back loop like this to create a new stitch. So, and then I knit my way to the stitch marker in the front. Okay, so I'm almost at the center front, and when I get there, I'm going to do a right slanted increase. And now I think it's important to do them the right way, like a right slanted on the right side and a left slanted on the left side. And that is because we're going to stack increases. On every other row, we're going to do them so that they're going to sit stacked on top of each other. And then it's nice to have them slanted the same way. Okay, so I'm doing my last increase to the right slanting, and oops, I'm finished with the increases. So now you can see what I mean with them being stacked on top of each other. So now all of these slants to the right and all of these leans to the left. Okay, so now I'm ready to divide into two legs. So I'm going to just zoom out. So this is what the shorts look like now. And these are, oops. So these are the stitches for the left leg, and these are the stitches for the right leg, like so, right and left. So now I'm going to start knitting with a smaller needle, and I'm going to knit in the round first over these stitches, and then bind off, and then in the round over these stitches before I bind off. So let me go and find a smaller needle. So I'm going to use this. So what I'm doing is I don't need this anymore. So I'm just letting that go and pulling this right hand side needle out. And then I'll just start knitting with my smaller needle, like so. Yeah. So I'll just go in the round, and I'll see you when I get to the other stitch marker, because then I'm going to show you how to just continue knitting on one side. Like this. And now I can remove this as well. And I'll just pull this needle out like that. You can see that I have the stitches for the left leg now on the small needle, and I have the long needle with these stitches on. So what I'm going to do is these are going to wait on the needle, and I'm going to continue knitting on the stitches that are now on my short needle. So what I do to close the gap is I just bring these two together, and I just join the round. Like so. The first one is, I kind of like to tighten it a bit, just the first one, to get these two together, and then just continue in the round until the leg is the stated length, or as long as you want them, and bind off. So I'm going to show you how to bind off for those who haven't done that before, but yeah, so I see you when this leg is as long as I want it. So I'm knitting the last round before I'm going to bind off. I forgot to film, but I started a purl round. So the last round before binding off is purl round. This is to prevent the edge from rolling up too much. I'm not sure if it helps a lot, but it maybe helps a little. So we're doing a purl round as the last round, and then I'm going to start the bind off. Okay, so I'm here. If you never bind off before, I'm going to show how to do it, but the most important thing about this, about me showing this, is just to show how loosely I'm binding off, because you don't want the shorts to be tight around the thighs. So I'm just doing like really loose stitches. So I'm knitting 2 stitches, and I'm taking the first stitch and pulling it over the second and then off the needle. So this is my first bind off stitch. Knit the next stitch really, really loosely, bind off the previous one, knit the next, bind off the previous, and so on. And just continue until you are at the end of the round. If you find it hard to do it loose, you can switch to maybe double-sized needle to do it. That will make sure that you get an even, nice bind of edge if you find that hard to achieve with the same needles as you knit with. I just kind of use my fingers to hold the yarn and tighten so that it doesn't pull back, to just get the stitches really loose so that you can actually, because bind of edges are not elastic, so you need the stitches to be loose to be able to stretch this fabric. Okay. So that's it. So I'm finished with my first leg. So this is, now you can see how the shorts turns out. My short needle is ready to do the other leg. Okay, so I just quickly wanted to show you how I made the drawstring, or not how I made it, but I made funny cute. I took a couple pearls that I had, and I mean, you can knit a drawstring, that's fancy, but I think it's cute with just a twisted yarn, piece of yarn. So I just twisted it more and doubled it, and then tied a knot in each end to secure it. So I don't know, that's an idea.